'Tis the season to shine with H&M. Discover the holiday collection and find fashionable pieces for your wardrobe or for under the tree. Get inspired and dazzle with this year's glam. From tuxedo styles, bow detailed pieces, impressive prints, and more. From unforgettable looks to unforgettable gifts. With fashion finds to home decor, find it all at H&M. Treat your loved ones and yourself this season. Shop in-store or at hm.com.
The kettle's boiled, Vic.
Great. Perfect timing. Just a dash of milk for me, please, mate.
Here you go. Shall we get started then?
Have you ever woken up on a Sunday morning and said, I'm never drinking again, and then found yourself waving $50 at a barman by happy hour?
Are you wondering why everyone else can stop at 1 while you head to a dodgy after-party with a weird bloke called Disco Dave? If so, it might be time to take a deeper look at your relationship with your reliable social crutch, alcohol.
On each episode, we'll investigate our own dysfunctional dealings with booze and find out if it's possible to stop this deeply ingrained habit before things get too messy.
Yep, we're going to open up a shame shed of humiliating drinking stories to help you understand why waking up from a booze coma each weekend with a kebab sticking out of your top pocket might actually be negatively impacting your health.
Hamish and I are here to delve into what it's like being sober, an unwanted warts and all look into why giving up those cheeky pints or putting down those mummy wines will make you feel happier, help your anxiety and mental health, and turn you into the most sparkly, authentic version of you.
Won't that mean I become boring though, Vic?
Well, Hamish, we'll just have to wait and see. I'm Victoria Vanstone.
I'm Hamish Adams-Cairns.
And this is Sober Awkward. Don't worry, Lucy, if you burp or fart or anything, I'll take it out. 'Cause, it's a bloody plane going over. Can you hear it?
Oh, God.
Let's wait for that. Yeah, but if you go wrong, I'll just edit it out, so don't worry about it.
That's all right. So I don't have to be too careful about what I say this time.
No, you don't. I can edit you. It's all good. I see you've dressed up for the occasion. What are you wearing?
Well, you can talk.
Are you wearing your school cardigan from 1982?
Vic, it's retro. Come on.
I'm not
Come
sure.
on. Listen, it is winter on the Sunshine Coast, so it is the only opportunity I have to
Wear a
bring
light
out-
cardigan.
I love a light cardi.
Oh, God. This is not selling sobriety right here. Cardi talk. She's got on some black Adidas tracksuit bottoms, a green top. The green top's quite nice, Lucy, but it's not a good combo.
Yeah, says she, sitting there in a... Wow.
I got some
where
weird
do I
ethnic
start?
garb. Travel garb. Oh, dear. Oh, we should start then, shouldn't we? Let's start.
Yeah, right, let's go.
Alan was just telling me how excited he is to have you back in the studio.
So it took you months to get rid of her, and you've just let her back in. She better have something interesting to say.
Welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Good to see you're going up in the world,
Yeah.
with not only with your dresses, but also with your podcast location.
Yeah.
A little bit worried about the old pissy mattress, because I seem to remember there being one in the last studio. Is that sort of a compulsory requirement of the Sober Awkward podcast? You have to have a pissy mattress.
Yeah, the pissy mattresses change, and I have to have one nearby. I've got used to the stench.
I have to say I feel quite comfortable with it.
Yeah, it's comforting. It's a comforting smell, isn't it?
Is. Maybe it's all those years of waking up having pissed yourself in the night when you've been drinking.
Yeah, probably. It's a kind of, gives me nice, warm flashbacks. I can't believe you're here. Why did you want to re-enter the world of awkward again, Lucy? Was there something you needed to get out?
I came to the live podcast that you and Hamish did, which
Yes.
was excellent.
Yes.
I have to say.
And the lights were really bright that night, which I was really worried about, but I could see both your shining faces smiling up at me, and it did give me a lot of confidence, so I appreciate
Both
that.
of them, had you had a drink?
Yeah.
You seemed double.
You and your daughter, you knob. Both your faces.
Yeah, look, well, that was quite a game changer for me coming to watch that, because obviously I'd been following the podcast and always catching up with Vic and socially. So I knew how it was all going, but coming along to the live one really reminded me what it was all about and how much it helped people. I mean, you had a full house, didn't you?
Yeah, we had a full house.
Really good
We sold
evening.
out within 2 weeks, so we're going to do bigger venues coming up, so stay tuned for that.
Yeah, well, it was excellent. And Hamish sort of stood up and talked a bit about the podcast. And he said the reason he was there was because I'd said everything I had to say about sobriety, which is exactly the reason that I had stopped talking on the podcast. And I didn't want sobriety to define me. But it was also relevant because, yes, I had said everything I wanted to say on the podcast, but now I've got a little bit more.
Hooray, we're so excited.
I just realised the value of sharing. Quite a few people came up to me that night and thanked me for sharing my story and saying how they resonated
Pass the bucket.
with me. And, you know, you suddenly think, oh, God, I was actually doing some good. And I wonder if by sharing stories about sober dating, I can help other people. I'm sure I can. I'm sure there's lots of sober people out there who are hesitant to date. But the other reason I wanted to just put it out there, Vic, is that, as you said, I brought my daughter along, my 17-year-old daughter, to that live session. And I thought she might find it a bit boring. And she was sort of wriggling around in her seat while you were talking. But when it finished, she just said it blew her mind. And she went off straight away to phone her sister, who's now living in the UK, to tell her all about it. She started listening to the podcast, as has her friends at school. One of her schoolmates came around and said, love the podcast, Lucy.
Funny, isn't it?
But more importantly than that, the Saturday night after the live recording, she came home from a party early. And she said, the reason I've come home is after listening to the podcast. She said, me and my mates were just sitting on a curb at 11 o'clock at night. One of them was really drunk and argumentative, had made the other one cry. And she just thought, what am I doing here?
God, that's
and
incredible.
she came home and she said, I wouldn't have done it if I hadn't listened to the podcast. So I realised the power behind it.
Yeah, I mean, that's incredible. I'm chuffed to hear that, actually, because to know that somebody of her age can tune into this message as well, I mean, there's nothing better. That is preventative medicine right there, isn't it?
Well, it is. And as you know, I've been nagging at you and I will continue to do so because I think you need to spread this word, this message to younger kids, teenagers who are starting to drink, because you're obviously going in at the right angle, because she loved it.
I'm not sure the 17-year-old kids want to know about my promiscuity.
Well,
blowing my finger off.
But they'll just look at your story and think, I don't want to end up like her.
That's basically the reason for my existence on earth, isn't it? Don't be like her. She's a right old mess. Oh, God, so good. So what's the reason why you're here then, Lucy Lou?
Well, today I want to have a chat with Vic about getting back out there. As you all know, I became the sober hermit when I gave up drinking. But recently, I've taken the world by the balls, quite literally, and I've joined Tinder.
I know, listeners, I'm in shock too. The sober introvert that Lucy discovered when she gave up her social crutch has left the confines of her cave and has stepped out of her comfort zone and is learning to date without daiquiris. Sorry, that was the only D booze that I could come up with. I can't think of any other ones.
I can't think of any others because we've been out of the booze scene too long.
I would have listed them a few years ago.
We don't know our booze alphabet as well as we used to. Yep, I'm here to tell you all about my sober Tinder adventures.
I am so excited about this, Lucy. Let's not tell Hamish you're here, though. He might get jealous because I know how much he loves you.
Yeah, let's just keep it between us. He's in the UK, isn't he?
Yes,
Long way
he's
away.
on holiday.
He'll never know.
He'll never know. I want to start with some hats. Hamish makes me do it, Lucy. He's very mean to me. I'm going to use this episode to be mean about Hamish because he's not here.
Stats.
Yeah.
Yawn.
Yawn, duh, Hamish. According to a survey of just over 1,000 Australians in September last year from dating app Bumble, almost 1 in 5 people don't want to drink on dates after lockdown, with about 3/4 believing sober dating leads to better connections. Pre-COVID, though, going for a drink was often the automatic first suggestion for a date. However, with bars and pubs closed for months on end, walking, coffee and park dates became standard. Bumble now offers a badge that you can add to your profile, indicating your preference for sober dating. On Hinge, you can share how regularly you drink. In the past year, 6% of Australian users selected the sober option. Oh, God.
Have you had
I'll
too
try
many
again.
daiquiris?
Yeah. In the past year, 6% of Australian users selected the sober option. So things are changing, and we want to discover what Lucy has learned and why is it better to date sober.
Yeah, I'll just add in there, since I'm such a pro on all of these apps now, that Tinder and nearly all of them, I think, have the sober thing on them now.
That's great.
Yeah. So, Vic, I know you used to worry about me staying in when I first got sober.
Yeah.
Well, for the 2.5 years
Well,
that
yeah,
I
for a
was
long
sober.
time I was worried about you.
Why was it that you were so worried?
I used to wake up in a hot sweat worried about you sometimes. If you didn't answer my phone, I'd be like, oh my God, she's drinking again. She's drinking again.
It must be even worse now I'm dating.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. I was just worried about your isolation, and I know that that can lead to relapse. That is very common. If people are lonely or they're staying in too much, then there's nothing to stop them drinking again. I think sobriety is all about doing the things you used to do and still living your life. And I was concerned that you were missing out a little bit because you just weren't getting yourself out there. But I didn't want to say this to you because I think you needed to go through it. You needed to kind of work out, have that time to yourself before you got the courage to go out and start dating. But you did lock yourself away a little bit too much, Lucy. But really, mostly I was stressed that the boredom and missing your old life would get you thinking about drinking. Did you think about drinking in those 2.5 years?
Well, of course I did, certainly at the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was doing this podcast as well.
Yeah.
So, I was talking about it to everybody.
I was actually following you. You didn't know. I was like a secret stalker. That car that was parked outside your bedroom window for that 2.5 years, it was me with some
funny
binoculars.
feeling there was someone there. I thought it was my paranoia creeping in.
No, it was me.
Look, I think it's important to note that I am an introvert anyway. I was an introverted drinker, and that's who I am as a person. So staying at home was quite a normal thing for me. Yes, it did get worse when I stopped drinking. But for me, home was a safe place, and it was a place that was free from alcohol and free from any of the urges to drink. So I didn't worry about it. It was the outside world and the people in it that were a threat to my drinking.
Especially that one that was sat outside your bedroom window.
Yeah. That was the reason I didn't go out.
Hello?
I was like, there's someone out there.
Hello, it's me. I was just calling, doing crank calls. Hello, my name is Norman. I was just wondering if you're planning on going out tonight.
And you wonder why I didn't go out.
Yeah.
It was all your fault. I was aware, certainly, probably coming into year 2, that I was sort of cheating sobriety because I wasn't living normally while I was sober, and it wasn't sustainable. And that's really what this whole podcast is about. It's not about forcing people to be sober, and it's not necessarily about giving people 100 tips to be sober. It's about saying, we want you to be sober and to go through the awkwardness and to live a really good life in sobriety. And I realised I actually wasn't doing that. I was very happy with my life, but it was very, very, I was going to say dull, because it wasn't dull. It was very cleansed, very clean, very regimented, very normal. I am someone who does like a bit of excitement. Yeah. And I was getting to the point where I was missing that.
It just wasn't sustainable, you staying in like that. I think that's exactly what I was worried about. I was like, this is not sustainable. She cannot stay in forever and hide. She can't. She's got to get back out there at some stage. And I just didn't know whether it was going to happen or not. But I think, as you said, like maybe you needed that time to work up to what you're doing now, which I think is amazing. So you went to England, I remember, and you saw some friends, you went out and you went to the ABBA concert, which was amazing, and you started to crave a bit of a social life again. Is that right?
Yeah, I did. Well, I went travelling with my 2 daughters, 17 and 19, and my elder daughter's boyfriend. So it was myself and 3 teens. And we went across America. We did New York, LA, Hawaii. We did London. But yeah, during that time, of course, you have to get out. You can't stay in your Airbnb the whole time. You've got to go out and enjoy life. And there were things to do in New York where lots of people were drinking, restaurants where people, the wait staff would get up and start singing Broadway.
Amazing.
And some of the biggest Christmas drag shows in London, and my family were drinking and I wasn't. So that was something that really put me out of my comfort zone and things that I would never have done while I was here in my house in Australia. So yeah, it did get me thinking. And it made me realise I can do this. Some of it was a little bit hard, but mostly it was really enjoyable going out and doing all of these things when I was sober. But something did happen in the UK that really made me think. I was staying at my cousin's house and we just had the most amazing time there. And a couple of nights before Christmas, she invited some of her friends over for a bit of a get-together. And I just couldn't face it. I couldn't face that size of group. It was probably a group of about 15 people. So it wasn't small enough to be easy, but it wasn't large enough to be easy. And I couldn't face it. We were staying in the loft, and I had to retreat to the loft and not join in. And I felt terrible, and I still do to this day. I don't know what her friends must think of me, but I just got to the point where I couldn't face it.
Is it because you were scared of the sort of inane chat, like the where are you from, who are you, how do you know the host, that sort of thing?
Yeah, it just all felt too hard.
Yeah.
I mean, sober socialising can be very, very exhausting. Going to an ABBA concert where there's loud music, everyone's dancing.
You're not
with
put
your
on the spot
kids.
so much, are you? Yeah,
but
I know what
that
you mean.
smaller size of group. And, and I felt really rude for not doing that. And also I was really aware this isn't right. Yeah, I should be able to do this. I'm staying in... My cousin is one of my closest friends, and she had her closest friends around. I really wanted to get to know them more. I'm sure they wanted to get to know me, and I retreated like a troll into the attic.
I'm just thinking of the people at the party. Oh, where's your cousin Lucy? Oh, she's up in the loft.
That is exactly what happened, Vic. And it's something like that where you're like, I really need to change this. Something's going wrong here.
They're like, what's that noise? Oh, it's Lucy. She's lowering the ladder.
I was hiding behind the couch in the loft, quivering, shaking until everybody left. It was that experience of, yes, getting out and enjoying life, sober. The experience of not being able to join in something that was really important, sober. But also I had always said that I was going to start dating when I came back from our travels. And everyone was saying to me, our kids included, it's time, Mum. You need to get out and you need to meet someone.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's why I ended up doing it.
Very brave. What was it like at first?
Bloody awful. No.
That's not the message we want to give.
And that's the end of the
Yeah.
podcast.
Ta-da!
Not saying anything else. No, I'm going to be honest. I loved it at first. I
Right.
really did. When you don't go out very much, and I'm not the only person who doesn't go out very much. Most parents, single parents, can't get out. Most middle-aged people, they don't go into bars and things like that. So having the ability to go onto an app and kind of shop for men was quite a novelty for me. And Vic, because when I first went on it, I was so excited, wasn't I? I was like, oh my
very
God,
excited.
Look how it works. I've met this person, I've met that person. And I loved it. I felt really together. I had loads of clarity because I wasn't hungover and I wasn't drinking. When you meet someone online, the first thing you do is you text them. I'm quite good at that part. I'm quite good at texting people and making a conversation.
So they get your number, is that correct?
No numbers are exchanged.
Okay, so you text them on the app.
Yes, on the
Okay,
app.
right.
Yeah, and I will, just as tip number one, a really important one, is don't give out your phone number.
Yeah.
Because I did a couple of times and I learnt the hard way that people will stalk you through your phone number, and you want to have control over what people can see about you.
I wouldn't mind a couple of stalkers, honestly.
You can have some of mine.
Okay, thank you. A gift.
Yeah, I'll head them over your way. There's a married woman who wants a stalker. But yeah, so the texting was great, and that was a way to build up my confidence, talking to complete strangers but behind a screen, having time to plan my response and think about it. So that's really great if you're coming from a place of sobriety where you haven't socialised very much. It's a really nice, gentle way to get back out there and start talking to people.
Yeah, I suppose it's just kind of easing you into communicating with the opposite sex, isn't it? Because you haven't actually met anyone yet. You're just on the app. You're deciding if you think they're good looking. I guess it is based upon that, isn't it? Generally,
it is, yeah.
Whether you could find someone attractive is the first port of call, and then to contact them in some way.
Well, yeah, there's that, and also the profile, what they write about themselves, and you can tell a lot from that. I think we'll talk about that later when we talk about whether people are drinkers or not.
Yeah.
But yeah, at that point of dating, I was really loving it. People were noticing the changes in me. It was like I'd come alive again.
Yeah, great.
And my brother, who is in the UK, that's what he said. He said, you sound like you're alive. You haven't sounded like that for a long time. So there I was thinking I was this really cool, smug, sober, healthy person. I wasn't coming across as a very happy person because I'd locked myself away for so long.
Yeah, you were missing out on human connection,
Yes.
which is what a lot of us strive of, especially me. I'm the same with friendship.
Yeah.
You know, I strive off good friendships. And for you, being a single mum, it's obvious that you're getting some attention for the first time. It's going to make you feel good.
It does.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
How long did it take before you met someone?
Any woman online will tell you that it doesn't take long to meet someone online.
Right.
So if you are a woman going to date online and you get loads and loads of responses, that's quite normal, because I was like, oh my God, I'm really, really popular. Look at me go. And then I realised that most women do. And in fact, tip number 2, I use the incognito option on Tinder, which they do have the same on Bumble and Hinge and most of the big apps. But what that means is that unless I like someone, no one can see me.
Okay.
If you take off the incognito option, you will get hounded
Okay.
by anyone. They will contact anyone. And my friend actually had the incognito on her phone, and her subscription ran out when she was on a flight on the way to Sydney. And when she landed, she had something like 178 messages.
It's funny.
So yeah, but also having incognito, or whatever it might be called on the app you're on, does give you a sense of privacy. And I think you do want that. You know, I'd been tucked away in my house for ages. I wasn't ready to be exposed to everybody, and I didn't want my ex-husband to see me on there, or his mates, or people I'd worked with. I felt uncomfortable.
It's about safety as well a lot of the time with this, isn't it? It's like, this is a new way of dating, and dating can be risky even in real life without any online stuff. Like, it was very risky when I was young because I didn't know what I was doing. I was in a blackout. So it's the same thing, isn't it? It's still risky online, and you've got to take caution.
And the biggest thing you can do, another tip, is do it sober.
Yeah.
That's how you keep safe.
Yeah, you take that consent issue out of the equation. Yeah.
But yeah, in answer to your question, Vic, I met someone, I think within about the first week, physically met someone.
Yeah, God, that's so brave. You were like, oh, he looks all right. I'm having him.
I'm going to go for it. I'm going to do this.
Yeah, God, I really am impressed. Did you specify that you were looking for someone that didn't drink?
I didn't. Like you were saying, there are options on the apps now where you can say that you're sober, you can say you drink rarely, special occasions only, drink in the weekend only. Of course, everyone probably lies. You don't even have to answer it, so it doesn't even come up.
Yeah.
So I actually don't put anything about my drinking on there. As far as I'm concerned, it doesn't define me at all. I do find it useful when I see other people have put it down. If I see someone sober, I might be looking at someone's picture and thinking, they're all right. You know, shall I swipe right or left? And then if I see they're sober, that's an immediate swipe right.
So why don't you put it on there then? If that's an immediate swipe right for you, it probably is for a lot of the men on there as well.
That's the thing with dating apps, is it's all about people's interests and some of their habits, and that's how you're matched, is by location, interests and habits. Really, those things apart from location are not really that relevant to me in someone that I date. I'm more interested in somebody who I fancy the pants off of,
who's funny
and who's got really good values. I don't mind dating a drinker as long as that drinker is not out of control and they understand where I'm coming from. I don't want my sobriety to define me. I also don't put on there that I'm English.
But it's a huge test, that, isn't it? That sobriety clip. You can instantly gauge someone. You know that if someone writes, I am sober, that they are self-conscious and that they care about themselves and that they've been through something. That one word gives you quite a lot of backstory, actually.
It really does, but it also really narrows the net.
Of course, right.
I did meet up with one guy from eHarmony who I was really interested in him because he was an ex-addict and had been working for 12 years in a rehab centre helping kids with drug addiction.
Amazing.
So he had a bit of grit to him, a bit of a story, and I was really interested to meet with him. He was saying that he did have some problems. He would be chatting to girls and then he'd tell them that he was sober. And one girl just said, no, I'm not interested. She said, I love doing wine tours and all of this stuff. I'm not interested in going out with someone who doesn't drink. So it can be a game changer for some people. But I always like to get in there first, meet that person, let them see who I am.
Yeah.
And then if they like me, but they perhaps don't really like the idea that I'm sober, the fact that they like me will outweigh the fact that I'm sober.
Yeah.
I want to put my best foot forward as a person before they know about my drinking habits, my sleeping habits, how many cups of coffee I have in the morning and, how many times I get up in the night to go to the toilet then.
But their reaction then, once you've met them, is another clincher, isn't it? Because if you haven't put it on your your profile and then you meet them wherever, whenever, then you say, actually, I'm sober, their reaction to that is actually going to be something that you can judge to see whether you like that person or not.
Yeah, often it comes out before you meet them because often they want to meet you for a drink.
Okay, of course, yeah.
Okay, so then the conversation comes up on the text. Look, I'd rather meet for a coffee, and they keep going on about having a drink. And at first I was so nervous to tell people that I didn't drink. I was terrified. I thought, I'm just going to put everyone off. That's what I always think. And that was what we talked about in our very first podcast, Vic. We talked about how we didn't believe people would like us when we were sober.
Yeah, they don't. No one likes me.
no one likes us
in the
anymore.
5 years I've discovered everybody just leaving one by one out of my life.
No, but the reality is people do like us sober, even though it's a surprise to us. But it made me realise that after 2.5 years I still believed I was unlikable sober because I was too scared to tell people. So I would tell people in the chat that I didn't drink. I wouldn't use the word I'm sober. I would say I didn't drink. I have to say not one person skipped a beat.
Okay,
in
great.
fact, if anything, people were more keen to meet up with me once I told them. And I think that is because, you know, they don't want to meet up with a pisshead. There are a lot of middle-aged women pissheads out there.
Yeah.
And they quite like the idea that I've got my act together and I don't drink.
And sometimes there's a lot of drama involved with drinking.
There is.
And you can go on a date with someone, it can get really messy and you can have too many and like you're tripping up curbs and being sick and dribbling on someone. Like it gets pretty messy and sometimes that's not an attractive look. I hate to say it, but I only saying that because I did it so much. I never went on dates because I just knew it wouldn't work. They were never going to like me at the end of it and I would never see them again. So I just didn't do it.
Yeah, two interesting points from what you've just said. Number one is what the guys always put, like about 80% of guys put on their profile, no drama.
Drama, the
so
drama.
There you go. There you have it. They don't want the drama of it. Second point is, years ago, I went on an online date, one online date while I was drinking. And I did it because I was doing a free trial for eHarmony and writing a review.
You're forced into it.
I went on this date and I had 3 glasses of wine and a Valium before I went.
God.
That was the only way I could do it. By the time I can't even remember it. Never heard from him again. You know, what's the point of it? I did see a friend later on that evening. She said it looked like I'd taken some heroin.
Oh my God, not the best dating
Didn't hear from
look.
him again.
I'm not surprised.
No date number 2.
Oh, damn it. He could have been the one.
Yeah, at the moment, on all the dates I've gone on, I probably could have got a second date with most of them.
Right.
Because I turned up sober, I turned up together.
Yeah.
You know, I probably looked fresh.
Yeah.
And people actually like that. They prefer
not like
that.
today.
I do take this cardigan off.
Okay, good.
Usually in the car, like just before I meet them, the cardigan comes off.
If you want some advice, don't wear that cardigan on any dates.
Thank you.
So when they said that they wanted to meet you for a drink, I guess you always said no to that. Did you organise morning coffees instead?
Yes, I did. Yeah, I used to say a coffee because I thought if I could go in the evening, but then if you're not going to have a drink, they want to eat.
Yeah.
And I don't want all the variables of going out for dinner on a first date. And it can be a waste of time and money as well, whereas a coffee can be a quick hour chat and then all done.
You can't have spaghetti on a first date.
Or
you can't
spinach.
have corn on the cob. What else? What else is messy foods?
Well, in fact, I tell you what, I did go on a first date. I went to a curry house and we ate dinner.
Yeah.
And I told the guys I'm really, really nervous about this. And he was lovely. He was so nice. And he's actually someone I've stayed friends with. He was the first person I met on Tinder.
But going for a curry, though, did you have to undo the top of your trousers to let your gut hang out?
No.
That's what I have to do when I go for a curry.
Quietly under the table where
Too
he
many
couldn't
nans.
see. Just let a bit of air out of the bottom hole to release some space.
Too many keema nans. Going for a curry is not a good idea, actually.
It was actually fine, and it really helped me get me sort of out of my comfort zone. And I was lucky that he was,
Got any
he
more
was
corners?
a lovely guy. Oh, but this guy was really nice, and he just drank water with me, and he knew how nervous I was, and he knew I didn't really want to go on the dinner, but he'd forced it. And I'm glad that he did, because, you know, it was like another score on the scoreboard of getting out there.
I've just seen one of your notes. It says donate blood. I I'm like, I had to pause for a second there because I'm like, what has that got to do with sober dating?
Yeah. When I started to get into it, I was talking to this guy on Tinder, and there was a picture of him with what looked like he was having his blood pressure taken. So I questioned him.
Was that his profile picture?
Well, no, it wasn't his profile. But I thought, why has he looks like he's ill.
He's a vampire.
Why has he put that on there? So I questioned him, and he said, "Oh no, I'm having blood taken." And he goes, "Oh, perhaps I should take that picture off. Does it make me look like I'm ill?" And I said, "Yeah, you probably should take that down."
Yeah.
Anyway, we started talking about giving blood, and because we're from the UK, Vic, we couldn't give blood over here because of mad cow disease.
That is so true. That is true.
Lots of opportunities to have a joke there.
Yeah.
But yeah, now we can, and I didn't realise, and it was through the chat with this guy that he said, no, we can give blood now. So we did arrange to go on a first date to give blood.
That is the weirdest thing I've ever heard.
And that was how confident I got. It turned out I couldn't give blood because I'd been in Thailand.
Oh, okay.
And I had to wait another month or so, and we didn't want to wait that long for our first date. But, I was happy to go and donate blood on the first date. And when you give blood, you have to answer quite a few personal questions.
Right. Together with you?
Well, I don't know
him?
whether it would have been together or not,
Yeah.
but the thought of even going on a date. I mean,
Yeah.
when my very first date I went on, I was so nervous, my lips were shaking.
Oh,
I couldn't sleep the night before. I couldn't sleep. I was so nervous.
Awful.
It
So
was-
when you don't sleep, do you get anxiety? I know we're the same in that way.
Yeah,
Like, if
yeah.
I have, like last night when Lucy arrived, I was like, oh my God, I haven't slept. I just feel anxious all day and I just desperately want to go to sleep. But then when I go to sleep, I can't because I'm anxious. It's just this
Exactly.
vicious circle. I know we're similar like that.
Well, that's how I ended up when I was dating. I mean, you have to remember that I hadn't socialised sober since I was 14. I'd used alcohol, even with my close friends. So this was huge, going out with people I didn't even know, and doing it sober. So it was terrifying. My lips were shaking. My really good friend James, by the way, James is single and he's very hot. Just he wanted me to mention that on this podcast. He's training to be a counsellor, and he would talk me through every day. Like, I'd have my headphones in up until 30 seconds before I met the guy. James would be talking me through it.
Okay, excellent. You need someone like that, a cheerleader.
He was excellent. And then straight on the phone to him afterwards. And he was really good because he was like, look, it doesn't matter about whether you like him or not. The fact is you're getting out there and you're facing your fears, and that's a win.
Yeah.
So he was really good. But yeah, I mean, I couldn't sleep for about the first 3 weeks of dating, to the point where I had to go see the doctor.
Oh no, Lucy.
And I said to the doctor, I explained I had high level anxiety and I couldn't sleep. And he was like, has anything happened, anything new in your life? And I had to say, I'm online
I've
dating.
left my house for the first time in 2.5 years. I need help.
And well, funnily enough, he went, oh God, he goes, tell me about it. It's a nightmare, isn't it?
Oh, he was on Tinder, was he? If you would like to support the Sober Awkward podcast, we're excited to announce that we've joined Patreon. Patreon is a membership platform which allows you to give back for the content you love.
By buying Sober Awkward a cuppa once a month, we can keep the giggles coming and continue sharing our sobriety message.
By joining Patreon, you get access to Sober Awkward merch, extra content, special promos and loads more. Just find the link in the show notes or head to patreon.com and search for Sober Awkward.
And together we can learn how to feel the awkward and do it anyway.
I'm making it sound like it was easy and fun, and it was to a point, but it was also very, very terrifying and very
and triggery
hard.
as well, because it's that comfort zone thing, isn't it? It's like, feel the awkward and do it anyway. It's classic.
Yeah.
It's like,
Oh,
you've
it
got
really
to do
is.
it. It's not going to be easy, but the more you do it, the easier it will be.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, 2 weekends ago, I did 3 dates in one day, 2 at the same venue. Would have gone on a 4th, but he cancelled because the surf was up.
4 dates in one day. Don't you remember that guy dumped me when I lived in Sydney? He dumped me because he said, Vic, I can't surf the city beaches. We were living in Sydney at the time.
It's something you have to understand if you're dating in Australia
Yes.
on the coast, that the surf will always come before you.
Yeah, the surf. Oh, gosh, it's a sign now. At least you know earlier on that they're
Yeah,
always
and
going to choose the waves over
And I mean,
you.
if someone had said that to me at the beginning of my online dating adventure, I would have been really hurt.
Yeah.
But now I find it really funny. And
It's
I
funny.
will phone up and tell friends or message them, say, some guys just cancelled our date because the surf's up. You know what? If I can just make a few mates laugh about my experiences, then it's been worth it. That's how I
so
see
true.
it now.
Yeah. 4 dates nearly in one weekend.
Yeah.
That is
yeah.
incredible.
No second dates. With
No
any
second
of them.
dates, no. It's still good experience, though. That's what it's all about, though, isn't
I
it?
just do it now without thinking. I will tell you, I don't feel nervous, but
Wow.
I do feel a little bit awkward.
Okay, that's okay. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like me in the live show. It's like anything. The first time you do something, it's going to feel awkward.
Yeah.
And you just got to keep on doing it.
Yeah.
And I hate doing it, but I'm determined to get good at it and get to the point where you are, where I don't get nervous about standing up in front of people and talking.
Yeah, because you don't do 4 shows in one day, so it's
No.
a bit different. But I know you always enjoy it. You always love it. You come off of doing it really pumped up and happy.
Yes.
So it's like you've just got to face it head on and do it, and you just get such a buzz out of achieving something that you were so scared about.
And I think that's what life is about. It is about pushing yourself a little bit, because otherwise life will become very stagnant if you're not going out of your comfort zone and doing some things that you possibly don't want to do.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
You feel a sense of achievement. It's really important. Oh, so I really need to know, like, fuck all the rest of the stuff, right? What were the men like? I'm just going to refer quickly. On my birthday, Lucy came up to stay with me and my mum was there. And we were like, oh, Lucy, let's have a look at your Tinder page. And we sat for about 2 hours with my mum in the middle, didn't we? Giggling away like schoolgirls at the pictures, because I was absolutely in shock. Like the guys, I thought there'd be quite nice pictures, or somebody would have at least advised them on what a woman wants. But there were guys, some of them were just pictures of motorbikes, like no profile picture, just the motorbike. Some were boats. Most of them were guys holding fish. A lot of them were very odd looking, weren't they? Weird angles. Some with a little bit of a crotch area showing. The top of the, what's that bit called between the belly button and the penis? Is there a name for it?
I don't know, but there was a lot of that, wasn't there?
Is that the Biffin's Bridge?
Is it really?
No, I think that's between your fanny and your arsehole.
Oh my God.
Have you not discovered that on your dates yet?
Bridge?
I think it's called the Biffin's Bridge.
Never heard
Oh
of
my
it.
God, I'm going to have to Google that in a minute. I might have just made that up. My husband calls it the Biffin's Bridge.
Oh my God.
She's gone. She's gone to the other side.
Oh no.
Let's move along from that. But what I will say is that we laughed all afternoon because some of the people on there were quite questionable, I must say, Lucy. And what happened was we were in a different area, a more rural area that weekend, weren't we? And the quality of the man seemed to go down a little bit, didn't he?
Well, it changed.
It changed.
Well, because I had not been on Tinder long, and I didn't realise that with Tinder it changes depending. It follows your location. So I was probably about 100 kilometres.
Yeah,
from
not
home.
far, not that far.
And so instead of my normal area with the standard surfy guys, which I
Yes.
see all the time, the guys who love the surf because I live by the beach. We were inland, so
Yes.
we were seeing people who just preferred
Farmers.
more inland
Yeah,
things.
farmers, yeah.
But it's really interesting what you say about their pictures, and they don't take the most flattering pictures of themselves. Not like, because my friend James, who I don't know if I mentioned, but he's single and he's really hot.
God, James, come on, you're getting a bit too much outage here.
I went out with him the other night, and he actually looked at my profile for me when I very first put it up and gave me some advice, like take that picture down, it doesn't look like you, etc., etc.
Yeah.
And I helped him put his new Tinder profile up. He had one on Bumble, and I looked at it and I said, James, those pictures are awful. How
Yeah.
can you think they're the right ones to put up of you? They don't even look like you. And I went through his photos and I found some much better ones to put up. But I think they just don't realise. And so you're like looking at these pictures and think, oh my God, look, the pickings are so slim here.
It's a shame though, because I think you miss out. Like, obviously I'm not in the dating world, so I know how fickle it is on these
It
things when I
is.
hear you talk about it. And it feels like a shame to have a weird picture and somebody flick past you based on that, because, there's every chance that could be the perfect person for you. So I don't like that. It'd be nicer if it was based on the profile rather than the picture.
Well, interestingly, once James, did I mention James?
Oh, yeah.
Is he
Is he
single
single?
and he's hot?
Yeah.
When his profile was up and running, he started looking at women, and he was flicking flicking through at 100 miles an hour, left, right, left, right, left, right.
Really?
And I was saying, hold on.
Yeah,
Look at the profile, read a bit, look through the pictures. Because I do that. I give everyone a bit of time. But apparently people generally don't. So you've really got to get that good picture up there.
I think it's a sort of modern affliction, that, isn't it?
It
It's
is,
like
yeah.
Instagram and reels and shorts, and everything is miniaturised, and we do everything quickly because everyone's in such a hurry, which is a shame.
Yeah, I like to give people the time of day because we're all in the same boat on there, and we need to treat people with kindness and respect. And if that means just having, if you think, sometimes you look and you think that look is just not the look for me. No way, no pictures and no profile is going to do that. But if there's a possibility, I'll click to get a little bit more information, look through the rest of the pictures, look at the profile, and then I'll make the decision.
Yeah.
But then I am a bit anal with stuff. I did have a spreadsheet first of all. So.
That doesn't surprise me. I don't have a spreadsheet for anything. I need a spreadsheet in my life. I need somebody who does spreadsheets for me. So, Lucy, most of the people you met were good, is that right? But you had a few duds too, I should imagine.
Yeah. All up, the people that I met were really nice. I feel that I was lucky, but then I treated people with respect, and I think they came back and treated me with respect too, and it is a two-way thing. But tip number, I'm not sure what number we're up to.
I think you're on 3, actually.
Yeah. Is that all?
Yeah.
I've given others, but I just didn't say tip number before.
Well, can you make sure you use the word tip more often, please?
Okay. But yeah, we'll go into it a little bit deeper in a minute, but is just be ready to deal with some people who are quite unkind and can reject you and make you feel quite horrible. I've just got an example here from just a guy I was chatting to. I said if he wanted to, we could do a video chat, because you can do that through Tinder at the weekend.
Yeah.
After that, we could meet up for coffee the following week, which I thought was very reasonable. Anyway, he sent me this. Have you ever worked out why you're single? Why should I wait? What have you got to offer? I'm a millionaire. No, it's not acceptable.
Oh, dear.
That is what he sent to me when I just said I couldn't meet him for a coffee that weekend.
It's almost like he's summing you up there. Oh, there's so much in that I want to tear apart.
Yeah.
So he thinks because he's a millionaire, which of course he is not.
No, he works at the local hospital.
Oh, did you?
I doubt it. When that message hit me, I just literally laughed.
Yeah.
Because that was the stage I was at. I've had a few things like that happen to me now, and I've learned how to deal with them. But if that were to happen to you early on in your dating adventures when you're sober, it can make you feel quite horrible.
Yeah,
so
of
what you've got to
course.
decide before you get out there and start dating is, can I deal with the dickheads?
Okay.
And can I deal with them without a drink?
Well, exactly, because it does happen. You have a few dates with someone, you might like someone, it goes good for a bit, you have fantasies about a life with that person, and then it can go wrong. What happens with sobriety when you feel rejected or heartbroken?
Look, this is the main reason I wanted to come on here today. Tip number
4.
5? 4?
No, 4, just had 3 not long ago. Come on.
All right, okay. I did get my heart broken. Maybe not heartbroken, my heart cracked.
Okay, got a
slightly.
little bit hurt.
Hairline fracture.
Okay, hairline fracture's not
Hairline
too bad.
fracture,
Yeah.
but a sober one was very difficult to deal with. Vic actually asked me to come on here about a month ago to talk about online dating, and I was too upset by my experience. I couldn't do it. I've managed to deal with everything that comes with online dating, like rudeness, rejection, embarrassment, awkwardness. What I wasn't ready for and what I hadn't even thought about was, what if somebody hurts me?
Gosh, yeah, that's a whole different ball game, isn't
Yeah,
it?
I didn't even consider it. It's like when you have kids, but you don't think they're going to grow up and be teenagers.
Yeah, or leave home, ever. Yeah.
I just didn't think that far forward. And it did. It happened to me. And I met a guy, and I honestly believed that he was the one. It only went on for about 3 weeks. We had a few dates. He didn't feel the same about me. And I felt really blindsided and confused and really hurt, and didn't understand what it was about me that he didn't like. And I still don't understand it.
I think that's funny how women, or I'm not sure anyone, when they're rejected, they automatically blame themselves. So straight away there, you've gone, what's wrong with me? And perhaps there's nothing wrong with you, Lucy. It just wasn't right. And that's where everything gets confusing, and you feel hurt, like I'm not good enough. And all these feelings of self-doubt bubble away
Yeah.
within inside you and sort of come to the surface, and that makes you feel like you're so vulnerable.
Yeah.
And I can't go through this again.
What it does is it brings up a lot of those feelings, ones that you've just mentioned, that we used to drink to drown out.
Totally.
And it's just brought everything back to the surface. And the first thing you want to do is reach for a drink. And never in my, well, we say 2.5 years, but I'm coming up for 3 years now of sobriety, have I wanted to pick up a drink as much as I did then, because I just wanted a temporary relief from feeling like total and utter shit.
Yeah.
And that was scary.
It's a wobble. It's a wobble.
It was the biggest wobble I've had so far. And because I just wasn't expecting it. I wasn't expecting to meet someone who I fell for that quickly. I wasn't expecting to be rejected by this person, because I really believed that we were getting on really well. And when it happened, it just knocked me. So I guess to anybody listening, think forward, play the tape forward, as Vic would say.
Yeah.
And, you know, when we think of online dating, we think of Tinder, we think of swiping right, we think of the embarrassment of going on the first date, but we don't tend to think about what can happen if we meet someone and it doesn't go as we want it to.
And we were laughing that day when I was with my mum. Like, we were finding it funny and fun, and that's what I think of it. I think, oh, go online dating, it'll be funny. But again, with you, I haven't really thought about it deeply to the point where, of course, it's like any relationship. You can fall for someone and it's not reciprocated, and then that leaves you in a different state of mind than when you went in there, and that changes you, and it is very, very risky to your sobriety.
It is, because you go into it with an open heart. It's weird because a lot of people who get sober feel like we do, and we talk about going back to being a blank canvas and building ourselves up from scratch. And with that comes a sense of purity and innocence, even though we've still got our past hurts and our past heartaches, and we remember them all, but we're kind of fresh and we're new. It's almost as if we haven't experienced love before, although we have, but not in this new form that we've created of ourselves.
And also we would have drank through the rejection. So that's the difference, isn't it? We would not have processed it. And what you were put in a position was where you had to process the pain rather than reach for a drink. And that was difficult.
It was almost impossible.
Yeah.
But by not drinking and dealing with the reality, I was able to see it for what it was, and I was able to move forward with it. I kind of learned a lot from it. Probably the biggest lesson of sobriety.
Yeah.
I've learned that if I face it head on, however shit it feels, I'll come out the other side in the right place and not the wrong place. And I can, with the right lessons and not the wrong lessons. Like when you drink through it, you don't learn anything. You just feel like you're just numbing it out, and you're still feeling shit. But I feel all right about it now. I do feel hurt by it and still a bit confused by it. And I put my guard up a little bit more for the next one.
But he showed you his true colours early on, and it's like, it's quite good. You know, he didn't want to be part of that relationship for some reason, but at least you found out early and you were able to deal with it. I guess it's a bit like grief, isn't it? The process of grieving someone. You have to go through that somewhat when you're dealing with these situations, and it is hard and confronting. But once you pop out the other end, you're like, oh right, what next? What now?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, you know, he's probably done me a favour, sort of finishing it early, like you said.
But that's the risk you take. In early sobriety, dating can be a bad idea. We're not saying don't do it for a year like they do at AA. I think that's perhaps a little bit unrealistic. But what we are saying is take care of your sobriety first. I'm sorry, Lucy, but I think we have to have a little chat about sober sex. Heartache aside. What was it like?
You've been desperate to get me to talk about sober sex.
Well, I just know you don't want to talk about it. So
I've managed to get away with it for so long because I hadn't had it.
Yeah, I know. So now I know she has. But I have to say, she came round one day with her little eyes sparkling. I was like, you've done it, haven't you? You've played hide the sausage with someone on Tinder. I just know it. Yeah, tell us about it. Was it awkward?
No.
Okay, that is incredible. I'm amazed to hear that. Why wasn't it awkward?
Oh, look, I think my first kiss was more awkward than the first time I had sex. First kiss was sort of in a car park. Like, it felt like I was a teenager again. Yeah. I obviously didn't have sex with a stranger. I got to know someone quite well first, and it was, you know, it was a really nice experience. I'm not going to go too deep into it. Perhaps it's an episode for another day.
Okay, excellent.
But I will say that it is way better than piss sex.
Okay, just because you're more present, you're more authentic, you feel more.
Good.
And was the Biffins Bridge involved?
Well, I didn't know anything about it at the time. I was
I think
completely oblivious to the
it's-
Biffin's Bridge.
I think it's something you may want to introduce on your next date.
Tip
In
number
fact,
6.
yeah, add it to your profile. Where do you live? Biffin's Bridge. I've been living vicariously through Lucy's dating stories, and I can't believe how far she's come. And yes, she has given me a few good stories on the way. From not leaving her house for days at a time to meeting 3 strangers in one day. It's quite incredible. For Lucy, online dating is a bit like fishing. A fish is a bonus. It's true, isn't it? I'd love to see Lucy find the perfect partner, but seeing her join society and grapple her biggest fears is enough for now. If you feel, like Lucy did 6 months ago, that sober dating was an impossibility, know that this could change and that dating could change you.
Biggest warning. Make sure you're ready. Go through the scenarios, remind yourself what it feels like to be rejected, and decide if you can do it without drinking. Remember, you can always delete the app, as I have done once already, and take a break, but don't even try it if you're not feeling strong, confident, and ready to deal with having some shit thrown at you.
Oh dear. But shit, some people might like having shit thrown at them.
Maybe.
Might be a thing.
Something to do with the Biffin's Bridge.
Oh God. I love this intellectual podcast. Oh, when you meet people, be proud of your sobriety. In Lucy's experience, no one really gives a shit whether you're sober or not. If anything, they're relieved to be chatting to a potential partner who doesn't drink. No one wants to date a pisshead, and they'll always have a designated driver. Remember that your sobriety is fucking cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah. Learn to recognise the signs of potential partners' drinking habits. I've always been drawn to drinkers, and I still am, but I know they're bad for me. And if I fell in love with a big drinker, I might be inclined to follow suit. Know your triggers. If you're falling in step with a drinker, turn and run as fast as you can without looking back. Find safety in a non-drinker, someone who rarely drinks, or a person who gives a shit about your sobriety and curbs their own habits.
Yeah, such good advice, Lucy. As much as Lucy has been providing her friends and family with hilarious dating stories, I do remember one you told me about you doing the whole date with your flies undone.
Oh, yes. That was a classic.
I know she really wants to meet that special someone. Being on Tinder is hard on anyone. Daily rejection and disappointment, highs and lows, and weird people infiltrating carefully stacked sober worlds. My advice to Lucy and to anyone sober dating is just to stay strong, know your worth, remember how far you've come already, and do not swipe right on the naked man with a pair of Australian flag budgie smugglers on his head.
Which might sound like a joke, but that was on Tinder, wasn't it?
It's actually not a joke, that bit.
For me, sober dating has made the previous 2.5 years of my sobriety journey pale in significance. It is through this level of highly awkward socialising, that is everything I believed I couldn't do, that I've learned how to be sober and actually partake in society. If you feel you are only living a part life in your sobriety, I urge you to face your fears head on and overcome them, because that is how to truly live sober and not just be sober.
So just before we go, Lucy, I just want to find out how many days sober you are now.
977.
Oh, I can't believe it. So you're nearly on the 1,000 days.
I know.
Oh,
do you remember when you used to always like show off and make me feel bad that you'd done 1,000 and I was on like day 2?
Yes, yeah, I wasn't about 1,000 when you were on day 2. Funny, I'm nearly on 2,000 actually.
Oh,
Yeah.
whatever.
I've always got one up on you, haven't I?
Talk to the hand.
Yeah. What's the best thing about sobriety? Sum it up in 2 words.
No hangovers.
Oh, of course, yeah. What have you learnt about yourself? I can tell you what I've learnt about you. I think you are much stronger and much more resilient than you ever knew you were.
Yeah, and I'm quite good at texting people on Tinder.
Yeah. Yeah, you're doing well on Tinder.
Just the texting part, mind.
Because you get funny, witty lines, do you?
Yeah, I'm really good with the funny, witty text lines. In person, can't think of a thing to say.
She is pretty dull, quite honestly. We want to give a huge shout out to our lovely Lucy for coming on and sharing all this insider information on the mysterious world of Tinder. I'm very unlikely to ever hit the sober dating scene, Lucy, but if I do, I will be coming to you for some top titties.
Yeah, and I'm glad that miserable fuck Alan isn't here nowadays. You did well to get rid of him, Vic.
I know. God, He outstayed his welcome a bit for a while there, didn't he?
Whereas Hamish is the pole opposite. He's so friendly, so enjoyed Fatboy Slim with him. Great person to go sober raving with.
He was, yeah.
Although Alan and Hamish would make a nice couple.
Oh, yeah, they would, wouldn't they?
Bit chalk and cheese.
Oh, yeah. Did you say cheese? I've got some gorgonzola in the fridge.
Oh, have you?
Oh, actually, bend over. I'll show you where your Biffin's bridge is. Oh, thanks for listening, everybody. If you're questioning your relationship with booze, you're struggling to moderate, or your hangovers are causing anxiety, it might be time to reach out for some support.
Yeah, just talk to a mate about how you're feeling, contact a local doctor, find an AA or sobriety group. Vic's got one.
Yeah, just head to www.cuppa.community.
Remember, if you're questioning yourself, it might be time to seek support.
Even though this journey can be awkward, it is definitely worth it. And if you've enjoyed the Sober Awkward podcast, don't forget to review it, rate it, and share it with your mates.
Do they have to share it with their mates?
Yeah, of course they do. I'm not doing this for nothing, Hamish. Bloody hell.
How do they share it?